The chosen one. Something terrible is occurring behind closed doors right now. If this practitioner fails, the whole network loses power, authority, and protection. When their fatal breath departs, shockwaves will reverberate through every dark nook related to their profession. That letter was written by them. The one trained to defeat you. Instead of fulfilling their goal, they plan to burn down the whole business. Do you want to know what true power looks like? It's when your light is so obvious that even the one meant to harm you chooses the truth. Instead, they could not accomplish it. They came near enough to see who you really were, and it destroyed their programming. Everything is now being written down by hand since digital records are so easily lost. The body count is being recorded. Yes, there is one. Several people who attempted to flee perished. Too many people were silenced forever. This is not a small-scale spiritual business. It's a full-fledged cult with authorities who purposefully look away, all influenced by a practitioner adept enough to manipulate perception itself. Let's discuss about this practitioner, since comprehending them reveals why their collapse is so significant. This is more than simply someone being ill. It's a person being eaten by every curse they've ever cast. Their specialties include death spells for the heart, love spells twisted into energy parasites, and rituals designed to break your solar plexus and steal the light of your inner child. You've been guarding that clean, joyous, creative energy throughout your life. That is what they wanted. That's what powers their deadliest magic. Pure energy transformed into darkness. And this individual was the finest at it. The highly paid are the most feared. A high priest of something so terrible that most practitioners would avoid it. There is a doorway within their chest. Not symbolic but genuine. An energy opening that has existed for decades, linking our plane to something below, hungry, parasitic. Every spell they cast passed through that gateway, taking strength from things beyond human vision. This practitioner served as the cult's anchor and conduit, keeping the whole power structure together. Remove them and everything crumbles. The shield falls, the curtain lifts, and everyone realizes what has been occurring there in front of them all along. You were their primary goal. Your pleasure was probed and dissected because someone wanted to weaponize it. Your childhood was examined for trauma doors. They might delve into how you broke. Karmic cycles were investigated so that you may get trapped in new ones. They were horrified by your ability to transform agony into strength, so they watched your healing journey as if it were a scientific experiment. They took detailed notes on how you loved yourself because they were attempting to decipher your protection. Then began the assaults. Death spells caused dream manipulation. Energetic sabotage designed to weaken your heart. Curses that deplete your life power while you were sleeping. Nonetheless, every single one bounced back. Every single one. Why? Because your security is not just based on prayer or good intentions. It is based on powers beyond the reach of black magic. Some of you walk with old guardians and the darkness fades in their presence. Some of you are surrounded in heavenly vibrations that cause demons to scatter. Some of you radiate Christ awareness light, and no weapon constructed against that energy can ever succeed. Some of you are protected by the earth herself because you valued and appreciated her, and she provided you with a force field. No darkness can penetrate. Your protection is not theoretical. It is absolute. Every curse you received ricocheted back to the sender with compound interest. This is why the practitioner is lying in a hospital bed. That explains why their heart is failing. The energy directed at your heart. Reversed direction like a miraculous boomerang. The drain they intended for your life force went inward, eating their own. The powerful spell they created to block your heart, however, sealed their doom. This is karma playing out in real time. This is divine justice manifesting as energy law. This is what occurs when someone attempts to assault a soul. The universe has declared untouchable. They don't just fail, they self-destruct. You absorb the hit yourself. After years of channeling darkness and decades of serving as a vehicle for demonic vibrations, the body eventually fails. The human body was never meant to withstand that much shade. It finally collapses. And right now it is crumbling. Let's construct a complete picture of what occurs once this practitioner dies. The first occurrence occurs immediately. The gateway within their chest slams shut permanently. Everyone who uses them as a gateway loses access. The flow of dark energy that powers the organization is turned off at the source. The magic that hold the curtain over this cult-like organization begin to dissolve rapidly. Those stuck in confusion begin to awaken. Memories that were previously blurry have now become terribly distinct. The falsehoods that previously seemed rational begin to ring hollow. It will seem like a cloud lifting over a whole town that had no idea it was living in darkness. The leaders thus lose power, not only their titles but also their dynamic authority. For years, their words had an invisible weight, a magnetic pull powered by the practitioner's connection. When a source dies, so does their impact. Suddenly, their charm comes across as manufactured motion. Their confidence exudes arrogance, and their spiritual understanding sounds like noise. People will look at these so-called leaders and wonder why anybody trusted them. Then the money trail becomes evident. For years, this group routed contributions, fees, and offers via many accounts disguised as charity and spiritual service. But as the energy curtain falls, so do the financial ones. Records that had been buried rose to the surface. Transactions that seemed to be pure now reeks of corruption. Investigators who previously ignored the red signs will be obliged to confront them. The trail they've kept buried for years will be revealed by divine intervention. Following that, the corpses start to surface. Not all, but enough to form a pattern. Enough to reveal the rot. The individual composing the letter recognizes names, understands whose disappearances were cover-ups, and which natural deaths were ritual sacrifices. When this material becomes public, it will spark inquiries that can no longer be ignored. Law enforcement officers who previously looked aside, some complicit, some fearful, will be held accountable by sheer public force. Then follows the explosion, the viral storm, survivor stories, screenshots, voice recordings, and financial papers. Everything overflows into social media. The narrative catches fire and spreads across the public mind. This will not be local. It's the type of discovery that transcends boundaries, capturing national and worldwide interest. Depending on how deep the corruption is, the organization will attempt to fight back, calling the whistleblower insane, a liar, or a bitter ex-member. They'll use every manipulative trick they know, but it won't work. Once light reveals darkness, it cannot be hidden again. When a practitioner becomes the cornerstone of an organization's power, they are more than simply a participant. They are the energy source, the live battery that keeps the system operating. The leadership claimed every right act of manipulation, miracle, and blessing. All of it went via this single person's gateway. They did not work for the organization. They were responsible for the establishment of the organization. But such power usually comes at a cost. Years of maintaining a connection to the lower realms, decades of channeling entities that feed on fear, pain, and suffering, and thousands of spells that required life force to operate. This practitioner was depleting their essence quicker than the body could restore it. But they continued going because the pay was fantastic. The reverence is overpowering. And the fantasy of being untouchable is seductive. They were lauded as heavenly, feared, strong, and regarded as invaluable. However, no one is irreplaceable. And when they failed, they became disposable. Whisper that they wanted to leave years ago since the tiredness was overwhelming. The tall are seen. However, the leaders rejected. No one else had their expertise, moral emptiness, or courage to fall so far into the depths. So they used every artificial method possible to keep this individual working. Rituals for recharging, spells to keep the heart pumping. Substances that pushed the body beyond its limitations. The practitioner was no longer alive. They were devoured, utilized, and drained to power the machine. And now the machine is falling with them. They knew too much to just walk away. Death was the only option left. And it's here. The cardiac monitor flickers every week. Doctors murmur phrases like critical, unstable, and unresponsive. However, what is occurring is not medical. It is spiritual. You can't treat karma collapse. Spiritual deterioration cannot be treated by scientific methods. The body is shutting down because the soul that came to you cannot repair a failing gateway via surgery. You cannot restart a heart that has spent decades channeling demonic energy. The body is deteriorating because the soul made decisions that necessitated a reckoning. And now the reckoning has come. Inside the organization. Chaos prevails. The leadership is racing to answer one urgent question. How can you preserve a power structure when the power source is dying? They are trying everything. Training replacements and redistributing the practitioner's duties. However, nothing is functioning. That gateway was unique to this person, linked to their distinct energy signature. You cannot just give over a metaphysical key to another soul. Some mid-level practitioners are striving to take over, offering to shoulder more of the weight. But the further they go, the more terrible the revelation. Without the primary practitioner's anchor point, their spells collapse. Rituals that previously worked brilliantly are now backfiring. The energy that once flowed smoothly through their systems is now unstable and hazardous. The whole energy network of this firm was connected via a single central hub, which is now being shut down. Everything linked to it is losing signal. Behind closed doors, emergency discussions are taking place. The leadership is panicked. They're fighting over how to deal with the eventual death and how to spin the tale when it happens. Should they reveal the truth or create a new narrative? Fear of money is rapidly increasing since riches was fully dependent on the practitioner's fantasy. Major donors contributed only because they believed in the person's heavenly authority. Without that illusion, the money stops. And when the flow of funds stops, the whole empire starts to fall. Then there is the legal nightmare. The practitioner knew exactly where the dead were buried, which authorities had been paid, and which members had been intimidated into remaining. They weren't just a weapon. They were an eyewitness. And now that information has turned into a ticking bomb. When individuals die, things are found. Medical examiners begin asking inquiries. Family members go through possessions. Legal proceedings begin. Despite the darkness, this practitioner maintained records, notes, notebooks, and proof. Perhaps it was insurance. Perhaps guilt. Perhaps foresight. But such documents exist. The company is also aware of the situation. They've already tried to locate them. Probably failed because the practitioner was intelligent. Perhaps the data are stored in a safe deposit box, only accessible with a death certificate. Perhaps they're imprisoned with a lawyer authorized to divulge everything upon death. Perhaps they are sitting in secured cloud storage, ready for an automatic trigger. In any case, the organization cannot prevent what is about to happen. The practitioner was aware that if they become a liability, their own death may be ordered, so they prepared for it. That's why the letter being drafted right now is so important. It's not just a confession. The ignition key exposes everything. The letter refers to the tangible proof that is soon to appear. It serves as the framework, the map that transforms disparate material into a cohesive story of systematic spiritual abuse and criminal conspiracy. Without it, the recordings may be disregarded as babbling. They become irrefutable proof. And this is not an isolated failure. The practitioner had links across areas, taught others, shared methodologies, and passed on skills. When their misdeeds are uncovered, a domino effect occurs. Other groups will be brought into the spotlight. Other practitioners will face inquiries. Entire networks of spiritual deceit will begin to disintegrate. And you picked one. You were the catalyst when you refused to break, when you held your light up against their darkness. You put this chain reaction in motion. The practitioner hurled everything at you. Curse, ritual, and assault. But your energy did not bend. Each strike rebounded. Every curse was reversed. The inability to destroy you became an obsession for them. They became darker, deeper, and more desperate. Each unsuccessful effort struck them more than the previous. That is what is now causing their deaths. The result of years of unsuccessful struggle against a shielded soul. Their heart is failing since every heart attack spell they threw your way was returned. Their life force is drained since the energy they attempted to take has reversed direction. They are succumbing to their own medication. Universal law mandates chilly service. You did not need to fight back. You just have to stay untouchable. And you did. The company that is going to fail has no idea how reliant it has always been on a single individual. The adherents believe that their collective conviction propels the ceremonies. They believe that strength derives from unification or common purpose. But it is a falsehood. Every ounce of the energy originated from one source, the practitioner's portal. Their spiritual connection, heavenly encounters, and miracles were all created via that single channel. And when that gateway finally shuts, they will sense it right away. It will be like the spiritual power grid shutting down. They will experience presence, connection, and vibration at one instant. And the next, emptiness, silence. Where their illusion had existed, there is now an empty hole. They'll gaze about, perplexed and looking for the energy that's no longer present. The leaders will endeavor to maintain the illusion. They will recite the same chants, execute the same rites, and say the same phrases. But the spark will be gone. The energy will not react. The atmosphere will fall flat. And soon the questioning will begin. Why isn't this working anymore? Why am I feeling nothing? What has changed? The truth is that power was never held collectively. It was borrowed. And now the lender is gone. They will blame the people. Claims will be made that the community's faith has diminished and that their devotion is insufficient, that they have lost their alignment. Scapegoats will be selected. Fingers will point it in every direction, not the proper one. However, that illusion will not last long, since individuals who have been with this organization for years will recall how the vibe used to feel. They will notice the difference. Something fundamental has changed, and they will know. Eventually, someone will make the connection. The loss of power started when the practitioner died. And once that knowledge dawns, the inquiries that follow will be perilous. If the practitioner's death caused the power to vanish, where did it truly come from? If everything functioned just due of one individual, was it real at all? Is this holy force, or is it manipulation masquerading as spirituality? That's when cognitive dissonance starts to shatter brains. Being a member of this powerful spiritual community defined entire identities. Many of them will be devastated to learn that it was all a lie. But the destruction is necessary. Sometimes a fake self must shatter before the actual self may emerge. Sometimes losing faith is the only way to reclaim true power. Sometimes watching the empire fall makes you realize you never needed it. Freedom was always yours. You were basically living in a cage that resembled a palace. The practitioner's death will release spirits who never knew they were imprisoned. People who have been sleeping will start to awaken. Spells they didn't even realize were put on them will begin to shatter. It'll be painful and chaotic. It will feel like their entire world is ending, because it is a world built on lies, manipulation, and stolen light deserves to end. The end has already begun. When a practitioner of this magnitude dies, particularly if their death is the karmic repercussions of their own darkness, a massive energetic discharge occurs, and every spell they have ever cast begins to unravel. Every cord they attach starts to dissolve. Every hook embedded in another's energy field starts to release. You will feel this not only for yourself, but for everyone who has ever been targeted by this person or organization. You might notice your dreams becoming vivid and clear. You might feel energy moving in your body that had been stuck for years. Old memories may suddenly make sense. You'll feel lighter, freer, like invisible chains have fallen away. That's the magic dissolving. That's your sovereignty returning. Some of you have been operating at half your true potential for years because this practitioner placed energetic hooks in your field, gradually siphoning you away. You adapted to that drain and called it normal. But when those attachments sever, when that siphon ends, it'll feel like waking up from a long, exhausting dream. Energy, clarity, and power you'd forgotten will come rushing back. The organization's collapse will be messy, public, and extremely uncomfortable to witness. But it's necessary. Entities like this survive only in secrecy. Once light pierces the shadow, they can't hide. Exposure is fatal. They may rebrand, move, rename themselves. But the leaders and practitioners who knew the truth are finished. Their reputations are ruined. Their spiritual authority revoked. Their manipulation resulted. Powerless. The practitioner in that hospital bed misjudged you. The organization that targeted you miscalculated the darkness that sought to consume you made a fatal mistake. It assumed that real power comes from external sources, from rituals, spells, or borrowed entities. What they never grasped is the true power is internal. True protection flows from alignment with Source. True authority is derived from honesty, authenticity, and illumination that cannot be stolen. Their empire was built on stolen energy. Your light, your love, your essence. And now they're learning what happens when you build anything on what was never yours to take you. On the other hand, built your foundation on truth, on healing, on selecting light, when darkness felt simpler, on preserving your inner kid, when the world urged you to toughen, on keeping your joy alive, when agony attempted to drown it, on liking yourself, especially when no one else did. That foundation cannot be shaken. It is eternal. It cannot be destroyed by any spell system or force. So when the practice owner dies, when the organization crumbles, when the community scatters in confusion, you will remain exactly where you've always been. Grounded in truth, centered in power, radiating light, untouched by the chaos that was never strong enough to break you. People are going to gaze at you with amazement in their eyes, muttering in wonder, "How did you not lose your mind through all that?" They'll attempt to comprehend how you managed to stay calm while the storm was at its loudest. How you kept so solid while everything around you went apart. How you didn't break while you were being hit from every side. And you'll know they can't fully understand it. You may attempt to explain it, but certain lessons cannot be conveyed by words. Some facts must be experienced, endured, and incorporated in knowledge. This is not something you learn from books, schools, or preachers. It's formed in quiet, amid anguish and perseverance. It's formed by standing in the fire and refusing to let the flames define you. The death of this practitioner isn't simply another ending. It marks the end of a false empire, an entire system of counterfeit light based on deception. This marks the end of an era that portrayed manipulation as spirituality, control as guidance, and fear as enlightenment. What's ending right now is the illusion that darkness can wear the mask of divinity forever. And in its death, truth is being revived. The collapse of this organization isn't random or coincidental. It's the product of energy law, the cosmos rectifying an imbalance. For years, this edifice relied on stolen light, utilizing the energy of decent people to power a machine of illusion. But energy constantly seeks equilibrium. What is happening right now is not punishment. It's physics, spiritual physics. You cannot maintain anything based just on thievery. You can't steal heavenly energy eternally without consequences. Every falsehood is met with an equal and opposite reaction: collapse. Every energy has been taken. Every soul is influenced. This disclosure heralds the beginning of a new age of accountability in spiritual settings. Every corrupt practitioner who has been preying on the innocent, every self-proclaimed guru who has used fear to control their followers, is watching this unfold and realizing they are not immune. Because now the universe is demonstrating what happens when you pursue one of its marked souls, one of its chosen. The demise of this empire is more than simply an occurrence. This is a broadcast, a manifestation of cosmic justice in action. Your chosen one is live evidence that heavenly protection exists. You didn't survive because you were fortunate or because someone stepped in at the last minute. You lived because the cosmos bent to protect you. You are evidence that when your frequency is pure and aligned with Source, no darkness can override it. You're not just a person living through chaos. You are a vessel carrying a wavelength that the dark cannot understand. You are a node in the network of divine intellect that is rebalancing the world. The practitioner's death is not about vengeance. You did not curse them. You did not fight fire with fire. You did not have to. The cosmos handled it because the universe doesn't tolerate persistent assaults on a soul who carries light for the community. You didn't have to swing a sword. Your quiet was the sword. You did not have to retaliate. Your presence was the solution. The light defended itself via you. You are not a random survivor of a spiritual conflict. You represent a fixed point in the cosmic equation, a stabilizing force that attaches higher frequencies to the grid of this world. You are a component of a divine construction that is intended to keep this planet together while the illusions fall. Every time anything attempted to extinguish you, it really fueled you. You are a wandering conundrum that darkness cannot resolve. This is the lesson they are learning. Too late. You cannot acquire power by stealing it. You cannot establish power by falsehood. You cannot sustain supremacy by claiming to be holy while feasting on souls. Even when buried, the truth remains undefeated. It is patient, not mute. Eventually, truth erodes everything built on falsehoods. And that is precisely what is happening right now. The rod is falling under its own weight. You were not their first target, but you were the last. Many came before you. Light professions, healers, truth speakers, and individuals with the same sort of energy that frightens the darkness. Some fled. Several were broken. Some vanished silently. But every single one of them laid the groundwork for you. Their fights provide the ground for your success. The group analyzed each one, fine-tuned its techniques, and honed their dark ways over time. By the time they got to you, they thought they had perfected spiritual warfare. They didn't anticipate evolution. They weren't expecting to encounter a creature whose soul had already absorbed lifetimes of learning. They had no idea your energy was adjusted far beyond their grasp. They didn't realize that your strength was not resistance. It was transcendence. You didn't fight back the manner they anticipated, since your frequency works outside the spectrum of darkness. They comprehend every curse rebounded, every strike reversed, every hex turned inward. What they sent at you didn't simply fail. It became their undoing. You didn't just survive. You totally reversed the battlefield. You faced decades of their accumulation, darkness, complicated rituals, and targeted strikes. And you remained unharmed. You were stronger in truth rather than in force. Darkness cannot overpower a system that is completely aligned with the source. It fails when it attempts. You did not beat them via warfare. You conquered them by being unshakable yourself. That is the part they never comprehended. Your defense isn't external. It's not about amulets, prayers, or chants, but these may help you recall your power. Your protection is ingrained in your essence. It's built into your DNA, your social contract. You entered this existence with commitments written in heavenly pen. Your safety was ensured before you took your first breath. Darkness can only touch what you let, and you provided no permission. Your power does not stem from ritual. It originates from resonance. You are harmonious with the source field. You are one with the frequency that creates stars. Your light works outside of time and the grids. The black magic needs to work, and that is why you are untouchable. They were playing chess on a board you created, attempting to win a game that was never theirs to play. Now their networks are collapsing. The practitioners. Death is a seismic event. Every group, coven, and hidden organization linked to that energy source is experiencing the shockwave. Their electrical cables are going out one by one. Their routines are becoming more ineffective. Their marvels are falling flat. The manipulations are no longer effective. Every branch of their web is crumbling because the central node, the practitioner's gateway, has vanished, and they're terrified because finding another soul black enough, competent enough, and hollow enough to fill that position is practically impossible. You can't manufacture that kind of moral deterioration. You can't reproduce that type of nothingness. Even if they could, they wouldn't take the chance right now. And they've seen what occurs when darkness confronts someone chosen by the Almighty. They've seen divine wrath in real time. Meanwhile, you're climbing, the cables are dissolving, the siphoning has stopped, and the energy drain is finally over. You're going to feel powerful. You haven't felt in years, perhaps lives. This is not fresh energy. This is yours. Returning home. You are going to recall the version of yourself that existed before the wars, the interference, and the tiredness. You are about to feel entire again. Reconnected. Limitless. Your donations are resurfacing. Intuition. Sharper than ever. Manifestations occur quicker than imagined. Visions are sharper than dreams. The fog is lifting, and your light is growing, to fill the hole created by the empire's demise. This is what occurs when divine justice clears the way. Your energy, once restrained, is unstoppable. You're not simply assuming power. You are taking a step towards sovereignty. The conflict is ended, and you did not simply win. You overcame the urge for battle. The next stage of your life isn't about defense. It is about creativity. You are going to construct. You are going to take the lead. You're going to inspire others. Your presence alone will cause awakenings. People will marvel how you are able to manifest so easily. You will construct realities that others believed were impossible. You will do it peacefully. There's no pressure. With elegance. Do not strive. This is what freedom feels like. Not the absence of danger, but the complete restoration of power. The practitioners' deaths are not their only end. It's the start of your expansion. The organization's failure is more than simply their demise. It is the emancipation of all those they duped. The revelation of their misdeeds is not merely justice. It is purification. A cleansing of the energy atmosphere. Everything that is now disintegrating is creating way for you to ascend into your next form. The version of you that is sunbound, unconcerned, and unstoppable. You've been tempered by conflict and purified by heavenly fire. You now emerge as a sovereign entity rather than a survival. What you do with that sovereignty will alter timelines. Someone is writing the last letter right now, somewhere in the dark. Hands trembled, not from fear, but from the raw, tired anger of truth about to explode. The empire based on stolen light is about to fall. The practitioner's heartbeat is diminishing. The organization's electricity grid is going down. And there you are, bright, unbreakable, the one they couldn't destroy. The selected one embodies heavenly triumph. It is not you who destroys them, but rather they ruin themselves and are obsessed with destroying you. The chosen one does not attack. The chosen one triumphs by being the one thing the dark cannot become. Pure light. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the deepening of my faith. Please let me believe you even when there is no tangible proof. Allow me to believe in your continuous presence. I know you will never hurt me. I realize that your intentions for me are ones of success rather than harm, in order to provide me with a bright future. Thank you, kind and everlasting Father, for always hearing my voice. I give this prayer to you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provisions. I am thankful for your presence in my life and the richness you provide. If this video spoke to you, please subscribe to the channel and share it with others who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your trip and how you're getting ready for your own victorious homecoming. If you'd like to contribute to our work, please do so via Buy Me a Coffee. This allows us to consistently improve our content in order to provide you with the best possible experience. The link to Buy Me a Coffee is in the description. No present is too tiny. Whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share, your generosity spreads God's message and gives people hope. Do not stop here. Watch our next video for powerful revelations about the signs that point to the chosen one. We've loved sharing this spiritual journey with you. Thank you for sticking with us until the finish. Keep shining brightly and face your fate with confidence. See you next time. Enlightened knowledge bestows blessings to all lovely individuals.